Have you ever felt like you just can't sit still? Your leg starts bouncing in class, or you find yourself pacing around just to think clearly? Well, what if I told you that urge to move isn't a problem? In fact, it might actually be a superpower for learning.
We've all heard it, right? From teachers, parents, pretty much everyone. Just sit still. Pay attention. It's like their go-to line. But have you ever really stopped and wondered? What if that's totally wrong? What if all that fidgeting is actually a good thing?
And this is the fundamental conflict, isn't it? On one side, you've got school telling us to lock in, focus on one single thing, and stay put. But on the other side, our bodies are literally screaming, no, I need to move, I need to explore. My curiosity is what drives me. It's a massive mismatch.
And this isn't just about being a little antsy in your chair. Minerva Jha, who is really the inspiration for this whole explainer, makes a powerful point. When the way we're supposed to learn goes against our own biology, it causes real problems. We're talking anxiety, losing interest, and even starting to resent the whole idea of learning.
So let's just call this what it is, the wiggle problem. It's this whole idea that our natural, built-in need to move is some kind of issue we need to fix, instead of what it really is, a tool we should be using.
So, what do we do? Do we just try harder to sit still, even if it makes us miserable? Or is there another way? Well, it turns out the solution might come from a pretty unexpected place, an ancient practice that's all about one simple idea: listening to your own body.
And that brings us to this next big idea. See, your body is talking to you constantly. We just have to get better at listening to what it has to say.
Have you ever heard of Kalaripayattu? It's often called the mother of all martial arts, coming from India. And the very first thing it teaches isn't a fancy kick or a powerful punch. No, it's something way more fundamental. And look how simple it is. The first lesson is just about awareness. First, you plant your feet firmly on the ground. Then, you really feel the weight of your own body. And finally, you just observe. That's it. It's not about doing, it's about being. See, this is the whole philosophy right here. It's not about being aggressive or jumping into a fight. It's about knowing yourself, being aware of your own position and strength before you ever make a move. It's defense and awareness first, which comes from knowing yourself, not just your opponent. So, okay, ancient martial arts are cool, but how does this actually connect to our lives today? Well, let me tell you about Minerva Jha. Her life story is just a perfect modern example of this principle in action. When Minerva was a kid, she was into everything: singing, dancing, painting, climbing, you name it. And of course, people told her, you have to focus, pick one thing. But guess what? The exact opposite happened. All that exploring, all that curiosity, it actually supercharged her studies, so much so that she graduated at the top of her class, way younger than anyone else. Then, later in life, she had this devastating injury. Doctors basically said her martial arts career was over. Others told her to quit, using the excuse that she was a girl. But she listened to a different voice, the one inside her. Her body was telling her not to quit, but to adapt. And by finding a new way to practice, she came back even stronger and became an international taekwondo champion. I mean, this quote from her says it all, doesn't it? Instead of giving up or listening to the noise outside, she listened to herself. She understood what her body needed and she changed her methods. It's such a powerful lesson in adapting instead of just quitting when things get hard. Okay, so we've seen how listening to your body can change one person's life. But what happens if you apply that same logic on a massive scale, like to a whole army? Let's take a quick trip back in history. So let's meet Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. We all know him as this incredible warrior, but his real genius might have been in how he thought about design. He didn't just smash through problems, he out-thought them. So here was the challenge. His soldiers were fighting in the mountains, a really tough terrain, but the swords they were using were imported and ridiculously heavy. Can you imagine trying to be quick and agile while lugging that thing around? It was a disaster. Now, the obvious solution, the bad solution, would have been to just yell at the soldiers. Get stronger, deal with it. Force the people to fit the tool. Sound familiar? But he chose the genius path. Instead of trying to change the people, he changed the system. He decided to redesign the tool to actually fit the people who were using it. And that led to the creation of the Dhampada. It was this amazing sword, lightweight, flexible, but still incredibly powerful. It was custom-made for his soldiers and their environment. He adapted the system to fit the person, and, well, history tells us it worked out pretty well for him. And this brings us right back to that classroom, right back to that wiggling kid. It's a huge question we have to ask ourselves. In our schools, are we trying to force kids to change to fit a rigid system? Or are we smart enough to change the system to fit the amazing, curious, energetic kids we have? So, after all that, what's the big takeaway for you and me? It all boils down to this one simple but powerful idea. You've got to find your inner spark. I want you to really let this sink in. True learning, the kind that sticks, it's not just some quiet thing that happens between your ears. No, it's meant to be an active, full-body experience. It flows through you when you ask questions, when you get curious, and when you go out and actually experience things. So from now on, when you get that restless feeling, that unstoppable urge to explore something new or ask a why question, don't ignore it. That's not a distraction. That is your brain literally begging you to learn. That's your brain in its prime.
And let's end with a question for you. Think about it for a second. What's that one thing you just absolutely love to do? Maybe it's something you did as a kid. Maybe it's something you do now. The thing that makes you feel totally engaged and alive. That thing is your spark. So the real question is, what's one small thing you can do today to get back in touch with it?